Naruto and Sasuke are the eternal reincarnated rivals of Indra and Ashura, and through literally every arc within the manga, there is some sort of comparison between their two respective powers. So today, I'm going to decipher an age-old question I myself, along with many other fans, have wondered. And before discussing who is actually stronger through each arc, and before engaging our first match, I want to preface that we won't be giving Naruto any Nine Tails power beyond what is shown by that point. So, for example, if I'm taking, the Naruto that fought Deidara, right, who was clearly amped by rage and Kurama's power, we won't say the full Nine Tails comes out if Sasuke angers Naruto or gets close to beating him, as that's quite unfair for many of the earlier matches, as you can imagine. Also, the timestamps will be down below. Beginning with our introductory arc being the Land of Waves, the answer is actually quite simple through the bridge battle, and although Naruto and Sasuke were tree training together, which seemed to bear some fruit in their abilities rapidly increasing due to the rivalry, Sasuke is still shown outpacing Naruto in their progress, such as upon actually scaling the trees and the kunai markings, Sasuke has nearly 40 markings above Naruto's highest marking, despite Sasuke neither being as sweaty or breathing as heavy as Naruto, which is made evident wherein after that night of their, eating competition, Naruto stays out all night trying to surpass Sasuke's marks, and believes he's done it, with him also standing upside down on a branch, showing his chakra control, although he would lose his balance quickly, where Sasuke would then blitz all the way up the tree, stand upside down, whilst also grabbing Naruto, who would be of a similar weight, which is just really impressive for displaying how Sasuke is basically just as superior in their talent, which is further demonstrated in the Haku battle, where he would then parry off Haku and react to his attacks, with Zabuza noting his impressive speed, with that also giving Kakashi enough confidence to deal with Haku alone. And while he does get pretty messed up, when Naruto joins in fresh, upon Haku's next attack, Sasuke instantly recognizes his location and then weaves signs for a fireball, whilst Naruto is just freaking out, basically having no clue of what's even going on or what's going to happen. I mean, even later when both fighters are impaled with even more senbon throughout their back, despite having more cuts, Sasuke would still be able to stand up faster and prepare, which Haku also just calls brilliant, and then he would also get the Sharingan to then save Naruto and react to Haku. So yeah, for this base Naruto, Sasuke is clearly the superior, with him also just having more demonstrable jutsu, like, his fireball and whatnot. So yeah, I would say that Sasuke gets the win, because we are going to just be considering each of the fighters at the end of the arc in a vacuum and fresh, so it'd be unclear if Naruto's Nine Tails amp would ever come out, because obviously Naruto won't be protecting Sasuke, and this is kind of just falls into what we discussed earlier with Kurama's power. So if you were going to give it to him, then this one does go to Naruto, but the more rightful winner is Sasuke. Like, we basically just get this idea in the very beginning of the Chunin Exams arc, in the chapter like where they wake up after the Land of Waves, where they then prepare to fight, because Sasuke straight up states that he's better than Naruto, which isn't just an idea towards the latter half of the Land of Waves, as if you go back even further in the beginning, you'll notice their performance Sasuke manages against the Demon Brothers, which was just really impressive, although implying he's above Naruto, or even further back, we then have like the bell test where Kakashi shows visible shock at Sasuke's fireball and overall skill. Against Naruto, Kakashi is able to literally continue reading his book whilst just blocking Naruto's elbow strike, kicks, punches, you name it, whereas against Sasuke, there's a clear visible shock at things like his shuriken and taijutsu strikes that promote more exclamation points and sweat marks. So yeah, for the Land of Waves, Sasuke wins. As hinted at just a moment ago, the entry portion of the Chunin Exams is quite similar, even until their initial confrontation with Rock Lee, where Naruto would be dismissed far earlier than Sasuke, who albeit was also humiliated. It did require a few moves to do such, which would actually be crucial, as Sasuke would actually track and copy Lee's taijutsu moves, or even then master them within 30 days of training, bearing its fruits through how Sasuke would also just be shown doing very well against Gaara, mimicking weightless Lee's very moves, attacking the front sand defense, to then blitz behind Gaara and attack him, from which Gaara then shows fear in, where he states, fast, just like him, thinking about weightless Lee, which even Might Guy corroborates and stating he's almost as quick as Lee's average speed. And with how the first data book makes note of Lee being Guy's favorite student, it could actually just show some potential level of bias, making this more impressive, where Sasuke would seemingly then up his speed further, being able to actually blitz behind Gaara again, to then he would actually kick him, sending him flying, where he would just run circles around Gaara and show that bro is actually pretty formidable here. Even Guy then thinks like outright arrived that Sasuke is practically the same speed as weightless Lee, which obviously fits the narrative of their mirrored styles as supported through Gaara, Lee, Guy, and Sakura. After then kicking Gaara in the jaw again, Gaara would enter into his absolute sand defense, which he never did against Lee, but this could also be due to him respecting Sasuke and him being more lonely, with him also just hitting physically harder than Lee ever did, with this not even being a main talking point, seeing as Sasuke can actually use the Chidori and piercing the absolute defense, which gets thrusted through by Sasuke, and his Chidori, even without the Sharingan, would make him faster and better able to utilize the Chidori and its power, giving him more speed and especially AP, with this Naruto not even having the Rasengan yet by this point, so he doesn't really have anything, although Naruto does have a much better chance than what you might think, as he did learn to better channel and open up the Nine Tails chakra to where he could actually get more Nine Tails chakra at will, albeit briefly. However, in doing such, Naruto would be a rival and equal to Neji through their battle, where Neji is shown blocking his shuriken and Naruto dodging Neji's, with both combatants throwing kunai at the same speed, jumping at the same speed, catching themselves at the same speed, with Naruto still seeming to have an edge, as he makes note that Neji's specialty is close range, right? Where bro then just charges and equals out the rotation, which does get a late start, but that's probably not even that relevant, as Neji is still fully striking, whereas Naruto's striking arm isn't even extended, and it's just his Nine Tails aura and chakra that's pressing the rotation. Now, this is really telling for Naruto speed-wise, as Neji is much faster than characters like weightless Lee, and likely in his first couple gates as well, as Lee actually states that he was saving the 5th gate for Neji, which Guy actually states is the key to beating Neji, implying that the 5th gate is above Neji, meaning Neji could, certainly be a 4th gate or 3rd gate level opponent in speed through things like combat speed and reaction speed, as those are what's used for the rotations, 64 palms, you name it. So Naruto, in utilizing his Nine Tails chakra, gaining access to it, could be faster than a base Sasuke. However, Sharingan Sasuke is heavily unknown, as it not only increases chakra but speed, and it also just grants the ability of precognition, allowing for Sasuke to react with characters faster than themselves, as we can discuss in a minute. The Chidori also severely amps the user's speed, so there isn't really a way to say that Naruto would then be faster than a peak Sasuke, regardless of him being greater than Neji, which is also a bad look for Naruto, as he doesn't really have many win cons of his own and can only really maintain the cloak for a few strikes, and that's it, whereas Sasuke's higher aforementioned levels of speed aren't as taxing to him and are able to be used for more prolonged battles. So the Chidori is deadly and could also be coupled with fireballs and other high level taijutsu strategies to better pull off the Chidori and its sort of win cons, which is feasible with how much stronger Sasuke is portrayed to be in the early series. So yeah, Sasuke wins in the Chunin exams. Following up with that with Konoha Crush, which I shouldn't have to spend too much time in, as well, Sasuke actually gets stronger in this arc, and it's literally just a continuation of the last fight, but Sasuke actually does really well against a transformed Gaara due to his Sharingan, where he would then also up his limits more and thinking about Itachi, and Naruto in this arc only actually does well when he's mentally amped and resolved to save Gaara, which, Shukaku / Gaara, even noting on Naruto's eyes have changed and whatnot, and these are amps that he wouldn't have against Sasuke, so yeah, Sasuke wins because it's basically the same fight. Now, the next arc being the search for Tsunade is actually what's really weird, as within the series it takes a bit of time, so where we do see that Sasuke is actually training and practicing Chidori based upon these 3 holes in the rock, as this is also what's shown in his rock training against Kakashi and on the tree that he activates the Chidori on in the forest. However, Naruto around this time would also just set out for training with Jiraiya, although Sasuke would then encounter Itachi and literally get smacked around and hit with Tsukiyomi, leaving him rendered useless and incapacitated in the hospital for quite the period of time, with Naruto actually training constantly through this time, with him being able to pop the water balloon 15 different rebel brawls and popping holes in them, and where he then just drop down, showing how Naruto is clearly pushing himself when Sasuke just isn't able to. Even after pushing himself for several more days, Naruto is in a club and another dude's you trying to play this game, and Naruto's shut up, can't you see I'm busy? Bro also promises Tsunade to master the Rasengan, where we then cut to him training for several more days non-stop, and this is all improving his overall chakra control too. And one thing highlighted at the end of that will be how Naruto's recovery ability and ability to just recover overall is actually phenomenal through the Nine Tails chakra, lending credence to Naruto actually having a high quality of training, where he does, because he's able to recover and maintain higher levels of performance more frequently. And it's only in the chapter after the end of that arc where Sasuke wakes up, where Sasuke then instantly wants to fight Naruto but doesn't even try anything in base and instantly opens the Sharingan, where they then engage equally kind of in like taijutsu, with Naruto sweating less than Sasuke, where they then both use their two specialty jutsu in the Shadow Clone and Fireball Jutsu. They then move very quickly, and similarly with the the Chidori and new Rasengan before Kakashi just throws them, where Naruto's Rasengan does way more damage than Sasuke's Chidori, giving Sasuke an even deeper sense of inferiority. However, I want to say this encounter isn't technically in the Search for Tsunade arc, and since we won't be doing a Sasuke retrieval one as they fight at the end of that, I think it's very fair to use in concluding the two of who is actually stronger during the Search for Tsunade arc, with the only real advantage being Sasuke's hatred, which is something that would amp him even more through not only his encounter with Itachi, but even just his anger with Naruto, which only furthers the idea of Naruto extensively training very hard, whereas Sasuke is just in a coma. So yeah, Naruto now has the Rasengan and speed to match Sasuke and outdo him, so yeah, Naruto wins. And a quick note, if you guys are enjoying what you're hearing, maybe you just want to support the sport to come up, then by all means hit that sub button to keep up to date with all my content, as I can see that a majority of you guys aren't subscribed, and I see you, so hit it. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, this might sound weird at first, but I've actually bundled 4 arcs into one, as they basically all require the second to last one to answer the conclusions of the first 2 and the last, and it still doesn't really change much. And I'm obviously talking about the Kage Rescue, Tenchi Bridge Reconnaissance, Akatsuki Suppression, and the Fated Battle Between Brothers arcs, which all heavily, and I mean heavily, favor Sasuke because Naruto doesn't really change much at all. Now, firstly, Sasuke only really appears in the Tenchi Bridge Reconnaissance and makes himself very clearly above not just Naruto but all of Team 7 through him standing upon the higher ground, exercising a common shonen manga trope of positioning, representing a sense of superiority, which fits with how he literally perception blitz both Naruto and Sakura without changing his facial expression from his calm demeanor, which he will do if pressed, such as against Orochimaru or Deidara or against Itachi. However, here he doesn't whatsoever, which fits with how Naruto throughout these arcs has been training and even been complimented, with him now potentially rivaling Kakashi, to where Naruto would then train even more and hone his chakra nature to then get to fight his very own Akatsuki member in Kakuzu using his brand new Rasen Shuriken, where Naruto would still feel totally inferior to a base Sharingan heavy Sasuke at the end of the arc, further proving the much earlier concession of Sasuke being stronger in the beginning of the arc in chapter 311, which would mean that if Sasuke is relatively stagnant, or at least compared to Naruto, and Naruto grows throughout the arcs and Sasuke is definitely stronger than the strongest form of Naruto, then it should be pretty clear where Naruto and Sasuke would stand power-wise through not only Sasuke's feats against Naruto and Naruto's thoughts about Sasuke, but even the third data book, which describes some points for the narrative, and stating, for example, Sasuke has speed that takes away the breath of even the Akatsuki members, which is likely referring to the ones introduced to us by this point, which would be each of the members given to a Team 7 member. Sasori fights Sakura, Kakuzu fights Naruto, and Deidara, the strongest of them, fights Sasuke, and Sasuke beats him despite being in a deep stylistic disadvantage, which is something he's actually implied to have overcame through the master of his Sharingan in the data book. So Sasuke obviously is far above Naruto stat-wise and would be much more comparable to an amped up Naruto, and while he does gain the Rasen Shuriken in the Akatsuki Suppression arc, Sasuke has multiple things like his multiple snake summons, body replacement technique that allowed him to even escape the Amaterasu when it hit his wing, which could actually be really crazy if you run with Itachi's Amaterasu doing massively better than, against the replicating dog than the Rasen Shuriken. But regardless, he still has Kirin and Fire Style to promote it, like his Great Dragon Flame Jutsu, which are jutsu he prominently uses within his battles against one of the Akatsuki members' strongest, being Itachi Uchiha, his brother. And while this could imply that Sasuke is up for the battle against the strongest Akatsuki member, or one of them, in Itachi, hence to why he would be much stronger than the other members. And while this can be true, I do want to preface that while Sasuke is ridiculous by this point, through his ability to perception blitz Sakura, rival to Sasori, the man who killed the 3rd and 5th Kage respectively, with the former being the strongest Kage ever against Itachi, this doesn't really matter, as he would just be much closer to him a little later, where, Itachi would actually straight up perception blitz Sasuke in their shuriken clash, causing Itachi to slow his movements and allow for the rigged shuriken to hit and pierce his leg, which is something Zetsu noted should have been dodged. Hence to why Itachi just eyeballed it, as it literally pierced through his leg, where he would then drop to a knee and still leap all the way over Sasuke's fireball and Chidori charge combo, which is a really impressive combo and would be something that a character like Naruto wouldn't really have any answers for whatsoever. And yes, I have been dunking on Sasuke for his encounter with Itachi, but it's not really so much of a good thing for Naruto either, as he's constantly a relative to Kakashi level fighter, or slightly below as I subscribe to, yet Itachi with just 30% of his chakra and no MS, which gives him more chakra, was parrying Kakashi off in the Kage rescue arc. So to then couple Sasuke's actual scaling with even more versatile variants of his Chidori, and things like the Chidori Spear, Chidori Stream, and Chidori Senbon, which is the fastest of them, it becomes pretty clear that Heavy Sasuke is demonstrably stronger than Naruto through all 4 arcs, hence to why they are all here, making the score currently 7-1 Sasuke's lead. Right after that, we have Pain's Assault, which is pretty interesting for both of their scalings, but the back of volume 45 actually mentioning multiple things about their powers, without Naruto gained a power greater than his fallen sensei Jiraiya, and both Naruto and Sasuke having ever increasing powers, which seems to attribute qualitatively relative amps for both Naruto and Sasuke, which could be true with how both Naruto and Sasuke gain the Sage Mode and MS respectively. And while this does actually work really well and holds quite true, at this point in the series, it hasn't really been the same due to the nature of how the MS and Sage Mode actually obtain power, without Sage Mode actually grants power through the merging and allocation of Senjutsu into your chakra pool, giving a real boost to Ninjutsu, Taijutsu, and Genjutsu according to Fukasaku, hence to why Naruto gets instantly massively stronger just upon using Sage Mode, and can fall on like large stalagmites and things and throw around pain, whereas Sasuke's MS is more of a gradual amp over time through hatred, increasing the potency of the quality of Sasuke's chakra, making it colder and thicker, also amplifying his chakra. As Tobirama would state, the deeper the darkness gets, the greater the ocular powers become, which is something to bookmark as I'm going to cite it later in the Kage summit. But for now, just note that Sasuke has gotten potentially stronger through his hatred and learning the harsh truth of Itachi's sacrifice and gaining of the MS, but he also lost the curse mark and Orochimaru, which did grant him things like excelled healing ability and whatever, which Jugo cites at the end of the B fight. So it's debatable whether Sasuke actually got stronger from the last arc, or is just really close with a new set of abilities, including one Amaterasu. However, in Naruto's case, he's gotten massively stronger and can now battle Pain, the stated strongest man in the Akatsuki, who's also said to be immortal, invincible, and unbeatable in the 3rd data book, which doesn't even cover this arc, but it would include characters like Heavy Sasuke, who could again be relative to Taka Sasuke. And while this statement of Pain being invincible gets a lot of controversy, the only 2 real objections to it would be Itachi and Obito, who might not even be members of the Akatsuki, or it could just be talking about what we know about them. However, you could assert that Pain is just stronger than sick Itachi, which I think is probably fine, but if you analyze the statement, it says, quote, the invincible leader of the Akatsuki, even the notoriously strong members obey him, which is a statement that applies 2 attributes, one to the members in strong, and one to Pain in invincible, which is pretty crazy, as we do know Itachi obeys Pain's orders whilst undercover, as shown in the Deidara flashback. Anyway, it should be clear that no matter what, Pain should come out massively stronger than a peak CM2 Heavy Sasuke through the 3rd data book, which is something Naruto then scales to, and now he's able to literally throw the animal path summons, one-shot the Preta path through energy alone, one-shot the Naraka path, one-shot the human path, albeit with a Rasen Shuriken, and then even kick and overpower the Diva path, which all just furthers at least the notion of Naruto being physically relative to Pain and physical stats, which would allow for him to beat around Taka Sasuke, as he fought the weakest and least trained B we actually see, yet gets his chest caved in by the lariat. So imagine a Sage Mode Rasengan or Rasen Shuriken, which could all be used on Sasuke, who won't have either the aid of Taka, meaning that if either of those abilities come out, Naruto doesn't just beat him around with like Frog Kumite, then Sasuke would be forced to use like the Amaterasu, which does actually drain him quite a bit, and Naruto in character might just have like a few methods of getting around it in his frequent use of clones and what have you. Another outcome would be the Six Tails coming out, as that actually does happen once Naruto gets angered and pushed, which could happen as Naruto has kind of accepted the idea of welcoming the Nine Tails power too much at that point, rather than just merely looking at it as a force to conquer like Sasuke. So it could come out, although I'm not so sure about the Eight Tails, as it's more circumstantial, but the Six Tails would be more than enough with its ability to chase Tendo relatively, with the anime taking it a step further, actually showing Naruto utilize certain hand strikes to cause like pseudo tornadoes. I mean, like, hey bro, the sky darkens and lightning begins to strike when the bones form and stuff like that, which just shows how crazy Naruto is in his six-tailed state, and why it's kind of overkill already beyond what this Sage Mode Naruto could do, which has been made more relevant in our next match of comparison. So yeah, for the pain arc, Naruto wins. Right after that, we got your boy Virtue, your favorite YouTuber's favorite arc in the series. Bet y'all didn't know that. But anyway, this arc might actually be one of the most frequent comparisons between Naruto and Sasuke, particularly at the end of the summit, where Sasuke has fully mastered and completed his Susanoo in his progression, which gives us a more lucid idea of Sasuke's growth and why now he's obtained the fullness of his ever-increasing power, as mentioned from earlier, with him even battling Kakashi. And this Kakashi actually is quite impressive, as according to the 1 Decade 100 Ninja Guide, trains and hones his ability every single day, which this statement should be applicable as the guide capitulates all the manga till chapter 456. Therefore, Kakashi should be greater than the one who gave Pain a run for his money, but Pain was admittedly holding back to obtain intel and was relatively fatigued around that point, with the 10th Mini Chronicle guys actually stating that the Diva Path used all of its chakra on the chaotic Shinra Tensei, making feats of him dodging the Raikiri even more crazy. But I digress, as him and Sasuke engage only in a brief taijutsu scuffle, with neither really getting the upper hand, to where Sasuke then deciding to completely eradicate Kakashi goes for the Susanoo arrow, which is arguably one of Sasuke's fastest attacks as shown against Danzo. And I have made the argument before that it could actually just be slower here, as it doesn't show velocity lines, but that may not matter, as like the drawback could have required less force or something like that. But anyway, he fires it, and Kakashi only survives due to the immediate usage of Kamui, which for perspective, this is the fastest he's ever used the jutsu. He fought for a whole day and withstood severe damage against Kakuzu without ever using Kamui, and again, even against Pain, Kakashi never resorted it until like the latter half of that battle. But instantly after seeing the arrow, he's like, no, he just instantly acknowledged that it would have ended him. And what's more important about this is that this Naruto notes that he senses Kakashi's location and is on his way, which could also just potentially mean that he sends Sasuke Susanoo, potentially even like his final V4 Susanoo, with his version 3's ability to use the arrow, maybe something like that. And this all shouldn't be too crazy. For the V4 Susanoo, even Karin noted that his chakra is getting colder once again, giving the chakra, that more of a unique trait, giving it more power, that Naruto would also just sense, giving it more of a quality, I guess, for him to. Now, Naruto would also have his Sage Mode, as that's what's actively shown for Naruto tracking Kakashi to follow him. Naruto then saves Sakura and gets accidentally poisoned, to where then the moment following their clash, the two would be of such a high and more importantly close level to actually enter the minds of one another to then chat. And Naruto then concludes that the two will die if they were to fight, which the 4th databook also states, with both Naruto and Sasuke thinking they need more power to fully beat the other in both the Nine Tails chakra and EMS respectively. Obito also remarks that retreat doesn't really matter since Zetsu isn't a combative type and obviously can't handle the full Nine Tails. However, Obito then believed that he could leave Sasuke here for an entertaining fight, which alludes to Obito thinking this fight is close as well. This helps corroborate what I mentioned earlier, as Sasuke throughout the summit gets several amps to his chakra, as stated against the Samurai, against Danzo, against Gaara, even like in like the V3 against Danzo. It was actually such a large amp that Karin, an adept sensory shinobi, couldn't even believe it was the same Sasuke, and he actually gets another amp whilst fighting Kakashi, where he believes that Konoha is laughing at Itachi and his sacrifice. Also, just lending credence to his high relativity with Naruto, which is something that even the anime openings display, meaning that like for this fight in particular, and this is the only arc on this list to do this, I'm going to give them a draw, adding 1 point to both scores, making it now 8-3. Following that, with an even shorter and likely the shortest of all the arcs, we have the countdown, which is from chapter 484 to 515, and Naruto by this point has his initial KCM1 form that's been compared to Jonin Minato, and blitzes Kisame in his weird pseudo fused form. But Sasuke at this point he's well, unable to fight, and it's just kind of resting with bandages over his eyes and waiting for the EMS to ripen. So bro can't really fight, meaning that Naruto obviously wins. Moving into the next section of the war, we have the confrontation spanning from chapter 516 to 559, which is like when Edo Madara appears, and like the last one. This match is actually kind of convoluted, as Naruto has training and has honed his KCM1 form, where he also goes out and fights many of the Edo Tensei reanimations, which I also just ranked in the video, you should check out. But anyway, here Naruto is able to make tons of clones, send out all, through all the battlefronts, where, Naruto alone kind of is implied to have flipped the tides of the 4th Great Ninja War, making sense when, considering his contribution to just the desert front alone, where Naruto is shown actually defeating the strongest of the Kage, Mu, beating the 3rd Raikage, and even beating some other randoms like the initial magnet style shinobi. Naruto through this arc, and by the end of it, has actually grown quite a bit since the previous, with him being able to actually outspeed the Raikage and keep up with him in sheer speed, with Naruto also having control over his cloak and even harness the Biju bombs and utilize even more advanced and quick chakra hands and additional limbs to like help with form like Rasengans and things like that, which he has also honed, with him now having the planetary Rasengan, which he uses in killing Mu, which is basically just like 3 miniature Rasengans orbiting one larger one to create an even larger and more violent rotation of chakra. And so what's Sasuke doing? Well, that's the thing. Nothing really. Sasuke hasn't done much at all except for take the bandages off his eyes and skewer some Waizetsu, but that's about it. And while I would typically think it's fair to attribute his later feats to him here, I doubt that you really could for this form, as Sasuke literally grows exponentially through his time in the EMS, where he goes from beating up Waizetsu to getting stopped by Itachi's crows, then being equals to Itachi, to then rivaling Biju's Sage Mode Naruto. So yeah, you could see why it wouldn't be fair to attribute those later feats to this fresh Sasuke, who not only wouldn't be as fast and strong as those later versions, but his mastery also just likely isn't as good, whereas later we see him better utilize the Enton in things like swords and coating the Rasen Shuriken. So yeah, for the confrontation, I'm also going to give it to Naruto. After that, we have the 4 Shinobi War Climax, which is the peak of the plot for all you weirdos who didn't pay attention in 5th grade English class. I'm just playing. But now this is basically the chapters of 560 to 639, which then is basically just when Madara appears to then where just before Jubito actually appears. And this is where things actually get kind of interesting, as I previously discussed. Naruto and Sasuke towards the later portion of this are actually able to run alongside each other and cover each other's backs alongside Sakura, where the 3 would be virtually all relative in their power, with Naruto and Sasuke being able to run alongside and combo with each other, and this will also likely be credited to Sasuke in his battle alongside Itachi, where he would then get much stronger, and after in which Naruto would also grow since then as he gained KCM2 in the battle against the Jinchuriki, which would also allow for his KCM1 form to then be known as, I like to call it, KCM 1.5, or as MKCM as some others call it, which is where Naruto's form is in KCM1, but the form is a lot stronger due to the full link and cooperation being in play, which makes Sasuke's new feats even more impressive, because this Naruto is actually able to not only react to both Madara and Obito's fire style and MS projectiles whilst protecting the entire Shinobi Alliance with his chakra, but even react to Rinnegan Obito's surprise attacks from behind the back, which would be really telling, as this Obito was capable of reacting on a low end relatively to like KCM2 Naruto, with him also being able to catch him lacking with the wood style, for example. With that being said though, as for Naruto versus Sasuke, they would be extremely relative, with Sasuke seemingly holding an advantage as he's more confident in combo attacking with Naruto regardless of his effort, but Naruto also has access to like KCM2, which would be way stronger than his current form, and he even tried to go into a couple chapters after this but was a bit too chakra fatigued, so here he actually probably could, giving Naruto the win again. Otherwise you just say that it's very close, maybe Sasuke has a slight advantage, or you even try to say that like they're equals based off the Rasen Shuriken relativity to the Enton arrow, which is like which in the form of a Susanoo is a bliss level above Sasuke's combat speed in the summit. So well, I think Sasuke's assertions are actually pretty close. Naruto probably has the win just because of the ability to go to KCM2. After that, we have the 4 Shinobi War Birth of the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, chapters 640 to 679, which was a set of chapters I was going to keep bundled with the last, but the powers were so different it kind of seemed unfair. But I actually would give Sasuke the win if it was the beginning of this, as Naruto can't enter the KCM2 state, and Sasuke seems to be growing more than Naruto. But in this arc, Naruto gets Bijou Sage Mode, and Sasuke basically just concedes inferiority, as he also needs not only Naruto's chakra, but Jugo's Senjutsu to help him fight alongside this Naruto, who is also able to pull more weight than Sasuke, and is literally capable of cracking TSOs and gaining sensory that's able to track Jubito and his movements and things like that. So yeah, Naruto wins this one as well. And last but certainly not least, I have Kaguya Otsutsuki Strikes, which is, which also just goes over basically the same forms at the end of the last match, being Naruto with the 6-pass Sage Mode and Sasuke with the 6-pass Rinnegan. However, it still favors Naruto and doesn't really change much in the fight, and that's mainly due to, again, how when Hagoromo gives Naruto and Sasuke chakra, he also gives him ways to amplify that chakra, and in Sasuke's case, it's the ocular progression, and in Naruto's, it's the Sage Mode stack, which is again a much more upfront amp, making Naruto more than capable of displaying his full set of abilities, where Sasuke would then have to wait till like the final valley for his physicals to show after adapting to the abilities, which would also just be made more evident in that last section, where while yes, Sasuke can react to Naruto and him taking the lead, Sasuke actually has his 3 Tomoe Sharingan out for a portion of it, likely to just save chakra whilst trying to master the Rinnegan. And while yes, things like the Enton breaking the ice that the TSOs couldn't outright do is like really impressive for them, but it's more so Naruto who's going blow for blow with Kaguya, tagging her, equaling out her like attacks, cutting her arm off, showing simply better feats stat wise, whereas Sasuke is taking a more intellectual approach. And apart from the fact that Sasuke gets teleported to another dimension where he can't display anything on screen in the manga, where he literally just tests his abilities out. Moreover, one thing highlighted that I would also like to touch on would be how Naruto is actually hyper relative to Kaguya, but this doesn't mean that Sasuke doesn't scale to Kaguya, as Sasuke, after practicing his abilities in the desert dimension, uses his perfect Susanoo to block taijutsu strikes from Kaguya, to where she is forced to use her higher level ninjutsu, which does smack the hell out of Sasuke, yet she actually still attempts to counter with a sword strike, but Kaguya kind of just flies up. But when Naruto pops around the corner with his pick a color of nature Rasen shurikens, she activates her Byakugan, showing it's probably just more pressing. So yeah, Naruto wins once again, meaning that like depending on how you score and counter it, using the way I did, you come to 8-8 as a draw, which is actually very befitting of the aforementioned rivalry between these two as described in the beginning of the video. But what did you guys think? Did you guys think maybe there's a reason I should have talked about the final valley fights, or why Sasuke might actually be stronger in the last, or is there an arc that I just kind of that you would totally flip-flop on? Or either way, please let me know in the comments below, and if you would, subscribe, as it helps me out more than you guys probably realize. But more importantly, God bless you all. Love you guys.